Gentlemen, it's your friend Mike Brady from Ocean Liner Designs. How's everybody going? Hello. It's been a while. It's been a while since I've done one of these. I've fixed the webcam saturation, so I no longer look like a beetroot. I think the audio is good. I think you guys can hear me. I hope so. I'm just waiting for a comment to come through that's like, we can't hear you at all. Hello. Wow, we've got 500 something people watching. Good to see you all. How are you doing? Merry Christmas, Happy New Year and everything. We're just squeezing this one in on December 30. So as close as we could get to New Year's Eve. A lot of people saying hi. Hi guys, how are you? Good to see you all. Yeah, I guess the Christmas present to the channel this year was that we hit 700,000 subscribers, which is pretty crazy when you think about where this channel started out. Someone's saying I still look a bit red. It's probably because it's now summer in Australia, and if you walk outside anywhere for any amount of time, the sun will get you because it is a deadly laser down here. Australia's got a hole in the ozone layer above it, which I think is kind of fixing up at the moment. But Australia and New Zealand are quite bad for ultraviolet radiation, and it'll get you. It's pretty nasty. Hello. Wow. So cool. So many people. We've got folks from Germany. Hi, Fabian. I'm sure that's not how you actually say it in Germany. It is 8 o'clock in the morning here in Australia. It's nice and sunny. I've got my coffee. You guys know that the channel is powered by coffee. So let's go. I can't play any music on this stream unless it was like stock library music, but what I want you all to do right now is to go to Spotify, whatever streaming service you have, and put on some nice, relaxing jazz music. Just like put it down in the background, so we can just hang out together and talk about ships. We've got folks from Denver, Latvia, Scotland, Lithuania, fantastic, Croatia, Minnesota, Tennessee. Gee, good to see you all. Michigan. I got to visit the United States this year for the first time. I'd never been to America, and I spent about a month going from the East Coast and then stopped over in Colorado in the middle and then went over to the West Coast. That's the best time ever. In fact, I'm kind of putting together a little bit of a presentation to show you guys some of the things I did this year, because a lot of them were, I think, will be of interest to you guys because they were ship related, and it was a pretty cool year, I have to say. I see someone there from Melbourne. I see you. I saw that. Someone's from Melbourne. Someone's like my neighbor upstairs. They heard the commotion. They knew something was up. Really good to see you all. Yeah, it's been a really big year. So for the channel itself, gee, where to begin? I think we started the year off with around about maybe I think about 300,000 or 400,000 subscribers. Subscriber growth is an interesting like metric of how well your YouTube channel is doing, because it isn't everything. You know what I mean? It's not the main metric for the channel, but it gives you kind of like an idea of, okay, how many people are watching it, how many people are enjoying it enough to click the red subscribe button. Oh, someone's joining us from Normandy. I'm talking about Normandy in my little holiday presentation that I put together. I know nobody likes looking at anybody else's holiday slides. You ever see family have just come overseas? You haven't seen them for ages, and they sit down and they're like, "We've got the photos ready," and you just sit there like, "Great, yeah, really, really can't wait to see your pictures from Boise, Idaho." No offense to anyone from Boise, Idaho, by the way. It was just the first one that came to mind. Just you wait, someone in the comments is going to say, "I'm from Boise." Andy Happy Guy, who's been a subscriber of this channel from some time ago, says it's crazy that I've seen this channel grow to 700,000, at least 70,000%. He says 70,000%. Yes, it was a big year for the channel. The videos that we made this year were a big mix. So what I try to do is put out your big documentaries talking about a ship sinking or a major disaster that will go for about an hour in length, and intersperse those, because they take a lot of work, and intersperse them with shorter videos about general interest topics, you know what I mean? So one of the ones that we put up last night, and I was going to talk to you guys about this because I thought you might wonder why I posted the video, was kind of clickbait. Was Titanic sunk on purpose? Of course, we all here in the Cool Kids Club know that the answer is no. But I don't know if you guys have been on Facebook recently, or even YouTube, actually. It has been just overrun with like AI content, and it's just farming, conspiracy websites and things like that. It's putting out, as soon as you hear that AI voice, it's like, "Did you know the Titanic was actually the Olympic?" It's just, that sounded like a little bit surfer dude, but you know what I'm getting at. It just drives me nuts, and it sucks because on a lot of my videos about Titanic, I'll get like somebody's uncle being like, "Don't you mean Olympic sank in 1912?" It's like, actually, it's the Olympic, that kind of thing. So I took the two parts of the Titanic conspiracy video, smushed them together. And that video featured an interview with Stephen Payne, the designer of the Queen Mary 2, who may be watching this stream if he's made it through my rambling introduction. Hello, Stephen. Here's to you, my friend. Good to see you. Stephen is a brilliant designer of ships, and also a huge dyed-in-the-wool ocean liner nerd, just like me, just like everybody else on this stream. I will say that Stephen, his knowledge of ocean liners is nothing short of encyclopedic, and he is just able to conjure any ocean liner and give you any fact about it, and he always puts me to shame. We got to hang out a little bit this year, which was a lot of fun. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. Pete Jones says, the Morro Castle 3-parter is excellent. Thank you. Part 3 is going to be great. It's obviously not a very fun series of videos to kind of like actually think about that this was a real thing that happened. I don't know if everybody has seen the Morro Castle videos, but they are fun to make. But they're bordering on, there's actually a few things that I won't do on the channel. I have been accused already on subreddits and things of bordering on, I'm trying to think of the safe for work way to say this. Disaster, benefiting, I guess is how I'd say it. There is a not safe for work way of saying it. There's a lot shorter, but just that rhymes with horn, but let's just say disaster, peddling. But and to an extent it is true. It is kind of difficult to reconcile. You know, you're making videos about like actual human suffering, things that actually happened, and that can be pretty tough sometimes. Like we all got really emotional last year when we made the Empress of Ireland documentary. Milking disasters, yeah, that's a good way of saying it. Disaster profiteering, sure. Then you know the Lusitania documentary we did this year in May was really emotional and tough in some places to make. I think the reason I can kind of rationalize it is that, you know, in a lot of these disasters, there are a lot of, you know, people did get away. There were survivors. Some people had chances of getting out. So I try to intersperse happy stories, at least throughout, to remind you that, you know, this isn't just death. But there are some stories where that just didn't happen and it was just death. And I don't think I could do them. One of them is the Moby Prince, the ferry that collided with a tanker. And there's actually still some conjecture around what may have happened if there was another ship involved. But that is a horrible story and not one I'll be covering on the channel, because although it's interesting, it's just so horrendous. Even just reading the Wikipedia page. Oof. Oof. It's a way, when you talk about disaster, you know, like ship sinkings, it's a way of actually getting across information on, you know, actually how the ships were designed. When you analyze what went wrong, you can probably get a better understanding of how ships or any technology works. Now, it's the same with aircraft. It's like Air Crash Investigation. That was a brilliant TV series. You could say, yeah, I mean, that profited off of human suffering, but it taught the general public a lot about how aircraft work. And I think about that with ships, especially Titanic. You know, I've always said, if you can understand how Titanic worked, you can kind of understand how almost every ship built in the early 20th century worked, in as much as like how they were built, the general concepts, you know, and you see a lot of the same techniques applied to ships today, and obviously ships are much better built now with advances in technology and that kind of thing. But it's a good way of getting your head around, all right, well, what went wrong here? Something really interesting happened with the second Morro Castle documentary, is that I think it was a safety instructor commented and said, in the video, I had said that Bob Smith, who was Morro Castle's cruise director, was pleading with passengers as they were jumping over the stern of the ship to go headfirst, to dive in rather than drop in, because if they dropped in, first of all, they might just drop straight down into the ship's propellers or the wing, the fairings for the propellers, which were still kind of like rising in and out of the water with the waves. But the life jackets, life vests, could, if they dropped in, they were designed at the time to keep you afloat at all costs. They would ride up, clip you on the chin as you entered the water. It could knock you out, daze you. Like best case scenario, you get dazed by it, break your teeth, horrible, or break your neck. Not good. Don't want to be doing that. Now, somebody commented in the comments saying, fancy that, saying, whatever you do nowadays, do not do that. There's actually a protocol where you, I think you cross your legs and you do drop into the water. It's because life jackets are better designed now. But I wish I kind of had mentioned something like that in the video and said something along the lines of, Bob Smith's advice was relevant 90 years ago, so maybe I might rewrite the third part of the documentary to mention that, because I would hate for somebody to watch that video and then try, you know, in the event of an emergency, remember that and then dive into the ocean. That's not what they should be doing. So that's kind of the sort of thing that now has to go through my head when when making these little dinky ship videos, that actually people will watch them and probably take them fairly seriously and remember. Because, you know, you remember things. The things come to mind. There's a lot of really nice comments coming through. Hey guys, what are you all talking about? Someone here likes to make 3D animation. Peter says likes to make 3D animation with his models of Titanic, Britannic, and other ships. That's very cool. Keep it up. It's the man himself. It is. Big year, guys. I had a lot of travel, and a lot of it was to go overseas and do ship things, and can't wait to show you some of that. I'm just going to be booting up my presentation in the background here because I have a little slide presentation. Before we get started, I wanted to give a quick shout out to the R Titanic subreddit. The Titanic subreddit is a fairly large subreddit on Reddit. It's got about 100 and something thousand people, and it's just a big mix of enthusiasts of the movie, of the ship, of the wreck, and they're super lovely, and everybody on the subreddit is just a legend. And they gave me my own flair, so now when I comment anywhere, it says your friend. So it attaches your friend to my name. And now, without fail, this started about maybe 8 months ago, like the first comment on the video, and it inevitably will be one of you guys in the comments will say, it's my friend. It just gets me every time. It never gets old. Never gets old. Are we improving any ships on this stream? Yeah, why not? Why not? It's been a while. Come on, let's improve a ship. We'll do that later on. One of the traditions on the channel was to, every live stream, we would take an ugly, ugly, ugly ship, and I would try to fix it in Photoshop to varying degrees of success. Usually it involved putting Titanic's 4 funnels on it and then saying, job well done. Yes, so I'm going to get my my presentation up. I probably should have done this before the stream. Tell us the sinking of the Wilhelm Gustloff. Yeah, so the Wilhelm Gustloff is again one of those stories that I kind of was a bit like, you know, it's pretty grim, but we have written it, and it's a big script. So Sarah, the writer for some of the videos on the channel, she's written Wilhelm Gustloff, and then it's up to me to take the script and what we call Mike Braidify it, and just run through and like add facts, you know what I mean, kind of put it into my voice a little bit. You guys know I do like to talk in hyperbole. Just put Titanic over the ugly ship. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? That's it. Easy. Done. It'll take like 5 minutes. Okay, here we go. Presentation. Excellent. Good. Now I can show you what I did this year. It was a big year. It was a big year. Not gonna lie. It was a good year, but I'll be glad to be home for a while. We did a video recently about artifacts that I've got in my bookcase. You can see that side. There's the fruit bowl from the Empress of Ireland, and then there is the lifeboat plaque from Strathnaver, and there's a life ring from the Strathnaver. I got like a bunch of interesting little historical goodies, and one thing that was cut from that video, probably for good measure, was this fork. Probably because I didn't explain how I came to own it. And it is a funny story, so I'm going to tell that story now. Of course, being a history person means you accumulate things from history, and sometimes it's not all good history. This is an evil fork, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you, this fork has seen probably unspeakable horrors. Let me explain. This is a German Navy fork from World War II. It is stamped with an eagle with the funky cross, which I'm not going to show on the stream. But it has a little M on it. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's not going to focus. It's got an M on it, which does not stand for Michael. It stands for... I actually don't know what it stands for. I know German Navy, so Kriegsmarine cutlery was stamped with the M. And the reason I've got this is it was actually sent to me by a viewer who, if I'm remembering the story correctly, I think it was his son was in the Navy potentially, and was dealing with a Russian naval attaché who gave it to him as a gift because he had it from his dad's time in the Navy in World War II, and so he gave him this this evil fork. Gave him an evil fork. No, gave him a German Navy fork from World War II, Kriegsmarine, and the guys, unless it was the guy who actually gave it to me, sent it to me as a gift. Very interesting bit of history. You can see, I'm not going to show you the symbol, but you can just see it's like a little eagle on it. No, it's just an interesting little thing. But I have to say, I am unfortunately cursed forever now. Because, like all my other trinkets and interesting things, put on the bookshelf. Now, when I was away traveling, what happened? But Mum comes over to my apartment, delivers my mail, which is good. She's been collecting that for me, which is great. Thanks, Mum. If you're watching this, hi. Drops off my mail and does a little zhuzh, cleans things up, does a little... Puts my fork in the dishwasher. So when I came back, I made some food. And of all the foods that I could have done this with, I made chicken tenders. And Mum had put the fork in the dishwasher. And I was watching Boardwalk Empire. I was sitting on the couch and I was eating my chicken tenders. I thought, gee, this fork doesn't feel anything like the ones that I've got. And then I looked down and I saw it. I was eating chicken tenders with, as Garsty0014 says, the evil fork of doom. Can confirm the fork is fine. It's got no damage to it from having been through the dishwasher. I will say, I'm probably cursed with the ghosts of the German battleship Gneisenau. Just told that story to 864 people live. There you go. Yeah, I'm cursed. So now I've put it somewhere else, so that Mum can't get to it. I can't even be mad, she was just trying to do me a favor. It just cracks me up because it was a honest to God moment of, because I wasn't looking at what I was doing and I was thinking this kind of feels different. Oh no. Great. Well, I'm going to show you guys my my presentation now. Except I think they're all out of order. Yep, all the photos are out of order. Great. Okay, well, yeah, Holly says I got cursed. Yeah, that's true. Drialga says to lift the curse, you need a fork from the Scharnhorst. Yeah, I need to reunite Gneisenau and the Scharnhorst's forks. Kind of, to be honest with you, it would be cool to have a World War II warship or issued cutlery set. So you have guests over and you have a fork from the Iowa and a fork from the Warspite, and that could be kind of fun, but maybe it's a work in progress. Thank you. People are still congratulating us for 700,000 subscribers. So for those of you that don't necessarily know how the channel functions, you've got me as the producer, essentially, of the channel. And we do have people helping out. So we work with a studio called Radar Digital. They're based here in Melbourne. And Radar's got a team of editors and things. And so we alternate. And what will happen is my team and I will make a video for the weekends, and their team will make a video for midweek. Now, typically, the midweek videos are a little shorter. They're more general interest topics, that kind of thing. And that means my team and I can focus on these big, time-consuming documentaries, and then you guys don't have to go weeks and weeks without seeing my face. So they do their thing, but my team and I, there's Sarah, you guys I've mentioned before. She's been on live streams before. Sarah is the operations manager for Ocean Liner Designs, but she's also a writer. She loves ships and she writes videos for the channel, which is very cool. She's very good at it. And then we've got a sometimes editor, Alex, who will come in and occasionally do a video. I think he's done 3 videos for the channel, but I'm still doing virtually all the editing for weekend videos. I'm a busy boy. And then, of course, we have Liam, who is a 3D modeler and a researcher, who's great, and Lucas, who's a 3D modeler, and, of course, Jack Gibson, who is our animator. And that's kind of it. Matt, who is our writer for midweek videos, Matt has recently joined the team, and he's actually the husband of one of the Grand Voyage video game team's developers. So it's a nice little family thing, which is very, very sweet. But yeah, I've got some Grand Voyage stuff to tell you guys as well, because obviously we made a big announcement the other day that we are doing Carpathia. In fact, why don't we look at the Carpathia pictures right now? Why don't we do that? Because I feel like, I don't know, let me know if you guys are interested in seeing my holiday snaps. But I thought, first, we could see some Carpathia goodness. Let me just get this up on my screen. So, some of you guys have asked about Grand Voyage. Maybe some of you guys don't know what Grand Voyage is. Grand Voyage is a video game. Grand Voyage is a video game that we've been producing since just a little over a year now, August last year. And Grand Voyage is it's a video game, and you walk around ships that we feature on the channel. We're starting with the Empress of Ireland, and we're starting with the Laconia. And the first ship to go alongside them as additional content is the Carpathia. We had announced other ships, the Andrea Doria, we'd announced the Aquitania. Those are big, scary ships, and we're only a small, frightened little team. It's going to take us a long time to do them. So I thought in the meantime, and to get some community interest into the game, we'd do something that is a little bit more famous, just to get people excited for the project, as they should be, because the team that is working on this, I don't do anything with Grand Voyage aside from the admin and paying people and kind of officiating and presenting. But I didn't make any of this stuff. So I'll show you what we've been working on, and hopefully this is going to work. Let's have a look. What do you think? Nope, that didn't work. What about this one? Nope, that didn't work either. Okay, let me try something else. It just needs to capture the right screen. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do this. I'm just going to fix this up. Sorry, guys. Give me one sec. Yeah, capture this one. Perfect. Now you can see. Look at that. Perfect. So this is the Carpathia that Matteo, our 3D modeler, has been working on. And we just released the screenshot. This is the full res version. I'm going to put myself down here so you can see what I'm talking about. This is Carpathia's beautiful stern. A very pretty rear end for a ship like this. She's quite an old vessel when you think about it. She was built and launched at the turn of the 20th century, and had a lot in common with older 19th century steamships. But for the time that she was built, she was very, very big for the Cunard line, actually. She was one of the larger in her fleet, because, of course, this is before they had built Carmania, Coronia, those big liners, and then Lusitania, Mauritania. This is a few years before that. So I think Carpathia, by memory, was like the third or fourth biggest in the Cunard fleet at the time she was built. So even though we thought of her as being an easy small ship to do, we're still pretty stunned by the fact that it's a decently sized ship. Now, this is Matteo's work. Matteo is a extremely talented 3D modeler from Italy, and I just don't know how he does this. This plating detail, you can see how the strakes, which are essentially the rows of plating down the hull. So there's a strake, there's a strake. They all have to terminate underneath the counter stern here, where they kind of like wrap up and then meet right in the middle above the rudder post. So right here. And that is so complicated to figure out, because we don't have a plating plan for the Carpathia. We just have photographs, and Matteo was able to make this from photographs, which is mind-blowing. I did get to go to Liverpool. The Liverpool Archive, the Merseyside Museum, is shutting down for 3 years, but they've got the majority of plans that exist for Carpathia, and I got to photograph them, and I got to touch them, and it was pretty cool. These were original plans, and some of them were from 1912, 1913, and some were from a few years ago before that, when she was built. So we've got a pretty decent understanding of now how the ship was laid out, what she looks like on the inside, and so we'll be able to make for you guys a pretty accurate representation of how she looked in April 1912 when she rushed to Titanic's assistance. Obviously, she's not rushing anywhere at the moment because she doesn't have any propellers, but that will soon change. And in the game, in Grand Voyage, you'll be able to walk under this in the dry dock and look up at it, and I have to tell you, it is a pretty spectacular Spectacular view. This is a view from the bow, and you can see this is half the amount of equipment that will be littering the decks of this ship. But you can see some of the finer details, the rivets around the portholes, the attached nameplate. I think this was polished bronze off the top of my head. I know some of the other ships from Cunard, it was polished bronze, but they were quite thin lettering. Mauritania's still exist. But what Mateo is really, really good at is rigging detail, and this is one thing that the team loves. We all have this in common. It's like shackles and pulleys and blocks and lines and all the various bits of detritus that you'd find lying around a ship. We just love it. And yeah, he's done a really good job already of putting this together. You can see the other masts haven't properly been rigged yet, but if you look up here, what are these called? Hounds? Dogs? I forget. The dogs on the mast, the bands that essentially attach the fixed rigging, the steel wire that would hold the masts up, is in place. These masts are very tall. That funnel is shockingly tall, and I will show you how tall this is in a minute because it'll blow your mind. Never realized it was that big of a funnel. But you can see how much detail is put into this because the block here has got the interior of the, you guys can see that, the actual running pulley section of the block is installed. We've got our fair leads on pillars here. We've got even the skylight detail. It's got hinges on the skylights. It's extremely detailed. So we think you guys will have a really good time walking around Carpathia. This is a similar view from the opposite end of the ship. So this is at the stern. And you can see up here, work in progress representation. This is all obviously very quite early work in progress. But this is the wireless shack, and this is where Harold Cottam first received Titanic's distress call. I guess what I'd never really totally appreciated is that, first of all, it's at the other end of the ship from the bridge. Second of all, it's up on a deck house. So you can see it's on this level here. That ends here, which means that the night of the sinking, Harold Cottam was taking his messages down, climbing down a ladder, and then running all the way forward to the bridge, and then having to do a run back, climb the ladder again. And it means that Harold Bride, who was Titanic's radio operator, who eventually was rescued by Carpathia and worked in that wireless shack, he had frostbitten feet, and he somehow, either he got helped up or something, but somebody helped him up that ladder so he could stay in that wireless shack, and he stayed in it for the rest of the voyage back to New York, and he had to be talked out of it by none other than Guglielmo Marconi himself, which is a very interesting story. But now I can kind of understand why, because if he had frostbitten feet, getting up and down would have been a bit of a nightmare. Someone just mentioned the Edmund Fitzgerald. Yeah, this year coming, we've got plans for some Great Lakes content, and yeah, I know you guys will be really happy about that, because the Great Lakes is a fascinating bit of maritime history that we haven't really touched on, but we will. Yes, we will. I'm excited about it. So this is the after deck of Carpathia. You can see there's quite a bit of open space, and this was really useful, obviously, when they suddenly had, how many lifeboats was it? 13 or so, or more, from Titanic that they had to rig up on these big boom derricks and take back to New York, because that was actually part of salvage, was that by taking back lifeboats are fairly big, fairly expensive. They're 30 feet long. They're the size of a yacht. And that could be a salvager who saved the lifeboats could take them back to the owner and actually get paid for it. That was part of maritime salvage. One of the sad images of the Titanic disaster is the White Star Pier. Carpathia going past her own pier to where Titanic should have docked and dropping off the lifeboats and leaving them there. And instead of Titanic sitting at her pier, there was just a small gathering of little wooden lifeboats. It's such a pathetic sight. It's so sad. But yeah, one of those enduring images of the Titanic story. Yes, they went on to lose those lifeboats. Nobody knows what happened to them. They were probably broken up, probably recycled onto other White Star ships. They were kept up in the roof of the pier at White Star until at least the end of 1912, so around November, December. And of course, within 2 years, the First World War breaks out, and those boats would have been needed because suddenly ships were, carrying troops. Olympic got absolutely rammed with lifeboats, and so probably I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of them went to other White Star ships. So this is a shot just underneath the bridge of the Carpathia. These are officers' quarters over here, and over here you've got, on this side of the ship, I mean, these are like a little deck house beneath the bridge wings, which help to hold them up. On the other side, you've got the captain's quarters. And interestingly, we're still trying to figure out this mystery pipe. My team has wasted so much time figuring out what these pipes are. But this is the kind of detail we're going into because in photographs, there's not very many of Carpathia, but you can see some pipes leading up from her well deck into this bulkhead here. And they disappear. We have no idea where they go, so we've just kind of had to make it up. And we presume they would have run along the deck and were like steam exhaust lines for one of the winches or something like that. But this is the kind of stuff that keeps me awake at night. Not really. When is Morro Castle Part 3 coming? Good question. I'm going to take like a week and a half's holiday, and then it'll come out. So probably the second week of January. So not too far to go. I'm glad you guys are excited for it. This one has got Caitlin Doty in it. Ask a Mortician. We'll talk more about her and her work very soon. So yeah, this is some beautiful work here from Matteo. Whoop, didn't mean to zoom in that far. And I think that might be it for Carpathia. Yeah. We've also got Filippo's work, which I'll just show you a little bit of now real quick. So Filippo is another very talented modeler, also from Italy. This is the Carpathia manufactured in Italy, folks. I'd give it like an Italian sounding name, but to be honest, like Carpathia already sounds pretty Italian. But what you can see in this picture, so this is Filippo's model of Carpathia. He's particularly proud of these carvings up here, as we all are, because these are very pretty. But look how much the ship is sagging downwards at either end. So this is called camber, and it was traditionally used in shipbuilding for two reasons. So the first was water runoff. So on exposed decks, the water would drain off to the sides where it would go into scuppers and fall outside of the ship, which is essentially like guttering. The second reason is it provided additional longitudinal structural support. It made the ships essentially just stiffer, because obviously circles are pretty tough structures. They distribute forces evenly across their curve, and so having camber actually coupled with the shear of the ship, where it rises up at either end, made the ship a fairly strong unit. And that was especially useful in the days of wooden shipbuilding. So if you ever go on the HMS Victory or ships like it, you'll notice the upper decks have quite a bit of camber on the outside. So the reason steamships had this for a long time is because that's just the way they'd built ships for hundreds of years. And then as the 1900s wore on, shipbuilders began to realize as construction techniques improved, they were like, well, maybe we don't really need this degree of camber, because I have to tell you, it's kind of uncomfortable to be on a ship where there are no straight surfaces. I don't know if you guys have ever been on museum ships or anything where they've got camber and shear, but you can kind of notice it, and it's a bit of a pain. And one of those areas where it's a pain is with dining tables. So this is an accurate representation of Carpathia's camber in this dining saloon. So this was the first cabin dining saloon at the forward end of the ship. And you can just see the issue here, because the tables are not in line with each other. They're all at different levels. And it meant that the joiner's shop at Swan Hunter, at John Brown, where they actually did the wood making and the joinery for these ships, were kept very busy because there were no straight surfaces. There were no straight surfaces to work with. And all of this paneling had to be cut to individual angles with camber and shear in mind. The deck beams underneath this wood paneling here, of course, it's all curving. No idea how they did it. They did it with hand tools, and they did it with pencils and paper. Blows my mind. We are, we've had a devil of a time doing it on 3D modeling. It's been very fun to watch them kind of working with this stuff, because it has presented them with many, many unique and exciting learning opportunities. So this is the this is the dining saloon. Yeah, so someone says you never stop to think of these things. Yes. Funny story for you. There's a new restaurant ship in Liverpool called the Daffodil, which I highly, highly recommend. She's moored just down at Albert Dock, and upstairs there's a bar. And she's an old ferry. I think she was built in 62 or 63. She was a Mersey ferry. And she's a beautiful, beautiful boat, and they've done a great job. Fully overhauled her. I think she's been out of the she's been in the water, I think, but she's been docked, not in service for like 10 years or something. And they've done a pretty good job doing her up. And on the inside is a really nice modern cocktail bar, right? And so really, if you're ever in Liverpool, go there. But there was one thing that they may have overlooked when they were refitting this this ship, is that the ferry has been built with a very significant camber and shear, just like this. Maybe not as extremely severe as this, but it meant that they just bought tables and cocktail furniture and nice stuff that you would get from like wholesalers, and they put it in the ship. There are no straight surfaces, so every chair, every table wobbles because every inch of deck space is going in a different direction to the other. And so I couldn't believe it. The table I was sitting at, the chairs I was sitting on, everything wobbled. There was a cabinet over in the corner, a beautiful wooden cabinet that they'd bought to put in, and they've had to kind of wedge something underneath it so it will sit flush with the wall because the floors are curving out. And it's really funny because, yeah, it's just one of these things that, oh, gee, that's a really, really good point. Yeah, everything is curving in different directions. How's the furniture going to fit? I don't know how they're going to solve that. The tables might be easier to solve because you actually just wedge a wooden wedge cut to the same angle as the camber underneath one side. That's going to fix it. The chairs are tough though, and that's kind of why chairs in older ships like this, where the camber was so severe, in dining saloons, they were fixed into the floor in a pillar style arrangement, where they were literally bolted into the floor, or they were on something where you could retract them and pull them out. Typically they would swivel, but it meant obviously then chairs aren't going to be flying around in rough weather. But it also means you don't have to worry about four-legged chairs needing four even surfaces. So yeah, I kind of feel for the Daffodils team on that one. It's really worth a visit because it's a beautiful, beautiful ship. But it is kind of funny that we were just talking about this as a team, about camber and shear and everything, and then when I went on the Daffodil, I just thought, this is such a perfect representation of why this is such a nightmare to deal with. So funny. They'd solved it for the Doulos, Andy says. Yeah, so Doulos Foss was she was originally an onion-carrying freighter built in the early 1900s or 1910s, and then she had a career all these years as eventually a cruise ship, and then she was turned into a hotel, and you can now go and stay in the ship hotel. And it's good to hear they somehow got to solve that. Hot off the wire, it looks like, if these comments are to be believed, that former US President Jimmy Carter has passed away, which is tragic news. R.I.P. Jimmy Carter. What a legend. Love that photo of him in the last 5-6 years, wasn't it? He was in his 90s and he was helping build homes. Pretty tough guy. And he made it. I think he made it to 100, so that's pretty good innings. Yes, designing and building ships, not easy, guys. Not easy. But we're getting there. We're getting there. I guess I already showed you guys this one. I love this angle. This is cool. You can see how it curves out the side. You can kind of see how it flicks up at either end. I'm going to stop talking about Carpathia now, but I was going to say Filippo's had a really tough time in the Grand Voyage team because he was making the smoking room, second-class smoking room for the Empress of Ireland. And I assigned him that room because I was like, Phil, this is kind of like the era you're interested in. This is the style you like, the wood paneling. You can do it. It'll be easy. It'll be easy. Famous last words. Well, that was a nightmare. shear and the camber. It was just a whole thing. And so it took him ages to do because, fair enough, it was just a lot of work. And he nailed it. It's a beautiful, beautiful room. We've put some photos up already. But then I thought, okay, well, that was tough. Maybe I'll give an easier task this time. And I was like, this room looks simpler than the Empress of Ireland smoking. Do you want to do that one? It'll be easy. Was not easy. He's done a very good job. Yep, I've got a very, very talented team. I feel very lucky. Love you guys. Well, time for a coffee break, and then we'll do my holiday slides. What do you reckon? I think I accidentally disabled super chats for this stream, which is a bit of a shame because it would have been fun to hear from you guys. The chats that come up, I sometimes don't get to see because I'll be caught up rambling about something. So it's the curse of the fork. Yeah, in case anyone, I'm not going to retell that story. You go back and rewatch it. Look, unfortunately, all my photos are out of order. I think if I download them, then they'll be in order. I'm going to download those real quick, and I'll answer some of you guys' questions. You guys are all laughing at me for saying it'll be easy. Yeah, it wasn't easy. Sorry. Gabrielle Tilly says, when I was in Estonia, I went to the Tallinn Maritime Museum. I was on a submarine, Lembit, and on an icebreaker, the Sur Toll. Very cool. Submarines, not my thing. Just saying, I'm interested in them. I don't know if many of you guys have been in a submarine. Yeah, I could leave that. Catherine has sent through $5 as a tip. Thank you very much, Catherine. She says, keep it up with a dancing penguin doing weightlifts. That looks just like me when I exercise right now because I've been eating a lot, traveling. I have to say. Oh, the mic's quiet. Sorry, guys. I can't control it. Can I? Oh, I can. Oh, hang on. Let me have a look at this. One sec. Is that better or worse? I feel like that's probably the same. Oh, that's better. There we go. Sorry. You know what? You were right. The thing was turned down. Now you guys can hear me. And for those of you that have turned your volume all the way up, you just got really jump scared out of your chair. Superfly Brother MJ says, did you see the Edmund Gardner ship docked near the Maritime Museum in Liverpool? It's a beautiful ship. Shame she's not been open for a while. The Edmund Gardner. Is she... She's not the Tug, is she? What's the Edmund Gardner? Remind me. I'll look it up on the internet. Let's have a look. Edmund Gardner. Oh. There we go. Oh, yes. Yeah. So this is another one of those Mersey ferries. This is such a good shot. Look at this. So this is... Sorry, she's not a ferry. She's a pilot ship. This is her approaching the Liver building, the Port of Liverpool building, and the Cunard building. Yes, so she's the pilot that's in dry dock, and you can just see her set up here. Yes, she's still there. Was she a lifeboat pilot ship? Very, very, very cool. Didn't get to go on it. I think you said that she's closed still, but beautiful, beautiful ship. Even those utilitarian ships, they made them with such beautiful lines. I don't see like a nice profile shot, but she just looks so classic. Look at that. Look at that. That suite. That's beautiful. So she would have met the big liners as they were coming in, the big ships as they were coming into Liverpool, which is pretty cool. NU says, you're from Melbourne. I am. Have you considered a video on the Cerberus? We've mentioned it in videos before, but let me show you guys something real quick. So this is kind of a funny story, but back in the 1800s, what was it, the 1860s, 1870s, the breastwork monitor was like the pinnacle of naval technology. And as you can see, there's not a lot of shit above the waterline. The hull is very, very low to the water. It is the bathtub look. It really is. And this was delivered to the state of Victoria, which is my home state, as their flagship of the Navy, because this is before Australia federated, so it was still like a loose gathering of states and territories and things, each with their own militaries and navies. It wasn't federal. So Victoria is essentially being delivered this ship. And the point of these ships is that they could be half submerged offshore fortresses and things like that, and bombard them with very little chance of being hit themselves because they're so low to the water. And they had these massive gun turrets right here with big fat, like steampunk looking cannons that could blast fortresses. The issue is that because this was built in England, they had to get it from England to Australia. Now, I'm sure those among you in the chat would probably see an issue with that right off the bat. There's not a lot of ship above the waterline. It now has to travel 12,000 miles on open ocean, more than 12,000 miles, because I have no idea how they did it. They apparently they rigged a skirt to act as a fake hull around, kind of like one of those D-Day tanks, and it made it to Australia. It was like weeks and weeks of sailing and steaming, and I think they had to, if memory serves, they had to erect masts. Because she couldn't carry enough coal to get all the way to Australia. So she couldn't use her engines. And they sailed it like a bark to Australia with that much shit below the waterline, the draft. It's just the funniest story. And then it came to Australia and it was like superfluous within years, like a very short amount of time. And in the 20s, it was sunk as a breakwater off Black Rock, which is a beach, maybe like an hour's drive from me in Melbourne. And it's still there. So you can still see the gun turrets. So the turrets are there. You can see, so here, let's have a look. Yeah, there's turret 1 and turret 2, and then the funnel in the center. And it's all still there. And you're not meant to, but I've seen a lot of people swim out to it still, and they jump off it. And it's kind of funny seeing this like really historic shipwreck. Like there's not many of ships from this era left at all, let alone ones in this decent condition. Like that has held up extremely well. You have to admit that she could be taken out and restored, and hopefully taken in as a museum ship. Nah, she'll be right. That's such an Australian thing. Don't worry about it, she'll be right, leave her there. I love it. It's one of my favorite unhinged Navy stories of all time. Yeah, she looked a little rough a while back. Slowly as time goes by, pieces are being lost off her, but nowadays there's just the turrets and the superstructure left. But pretty cool bit of history, huh? Look at this. That's a great shot. I love that one. Oh man, before, after. Before, after. This is what happens if you come to Australia and you're left out in the sun too long, folks. This is what I said earlier. The ozone is terrible here. The sun is a deadly laser. Isn't that funny? Yeah. The HMVS Cerberus. Very, very interesting story. That was a fun comment. Thank you. Let's look at holiday photos. Can I go full screen on this? No, I guess not. Oh, actually, no. We're not going to look at holiday photos yet because I downloaded them. I want to show you these in order. So, and it wasn't even like really a holiday. I was doing ship things the whole time, but anyway. I'm just going to extract all these for you real quick. Somebody asked, is Grand Voyage going to be available for virtual reality? And the answer is, I don't know. I really don't know. One thing we've learned a lot about making this game is that making video games is really tough. The reason we call it a video game and not a virtual experience, which is a term that's been floated around for other games like it, is that the ships are essentially full of mini games. So it is a video game. You go on the ship, there are things to do. You're not just walking around. We've already got blackjack programmed, so you can go into the Empress of Ireland, sit down at a table in the smoking room and play blackjack, and it'll be a lot of fun. The problem is that actually engineering a game like this is really difficult. There's a lot goes into it. We've got some great helpers, great assistants, but it was a learning curve. I thought it was going to be as simple as you take a 3D model of a ship, you put it in Unreal Engine, and you walk around it. Easy, right? Not easy. Not easy. No, it's been really tough. A lot of engineering goes into it, and that's really what we're working on at the moment. A lot of the artwork for the game is finished. The 3D models are done. We're working through texturing them. But the 3D modeling team is just about done, essentially, with the three main ships that we wanted to launch with. What we have to do now is get them working, because at the moment it's a performance hog. You know, these are really detailed models, and there's a lot of optimization has to work. The issues that we're presented with all the time is we want really pretty looking wakes. So as the ship's sailing along, the foam as it disappears into the background, we want it to look as beautiful as possible. The problem is this type of wake doesn't interact with this weather plugin, and so the lighting looks wrong. Okay, well, we fixed that, but that lighting plugin doesn't work with this ocean, so we have to... So there's constantly things just doing this. And anyway, I'm probably not the best suited to talk about it, because I'm just the producer, and I essentially just say, make it look... sitting up here with my coffee on my ivory tower saying, make it look pretty. Make it look good for me. Thank you. And then every week or so we do our team meeting, and I get to sit there and say, hey, marvelous. Yes, it looks fantastic. Meanwhile, the engineers and the devs are running around freaking out. No, I do have like some understanding of it, but yeah, they do a really good job. I'm trying to talk Matt, our lead developer, into doing a dev live stream with me, but he won't do it. He won't do it. He's not into appearing on streams, which means I have to field all the tough questions, and I'm not a game developer, so I can only do my best. So if I have misspoken, Matt and dev team, please do not hate me. For you with your brandy and evil fork twirling, the evil fork twirling my moustache. Yes. Oh, yeah, the moustache happened this year for like 5 minutes. That was the worst thing I've ever done. I'm so sorry you all had to see that. That was kind of the worst. Yeah, it's just straight up the worst thing I've ever done. Never happening again. Sorry about that. Yeah, Dan, why are the photos out of order? I'm sorry, guys. We're just gonna have to click through them and kind of figure out as we go. Unless there's... This doesn't make any sense. I don't know why these are so... that's okay. Well, all right. Look, you know what? I'm just going to click through them and show you. Fire them up. Okay. Here we go. We're doing this old school. In June, I went to Normandy for the 80th anniversary of D-Day. And this is just a random photo I took of the coast. So this is the British sector on the way between Arromanches. Yeah, I was near Arromanches, where the Brits landed. And I think you guys know that I'm a bit of a military nerd. And so going to Normandy was pretty cool. Actually, no, if I put this over here, I'll be able to click through them in order. Sweet. Yeah, going to Normandy was amazing because, you know, this is D-Day proper. So this was June 6th, and I was walking along the beachfront, and it was a beautiful sunny day. It was like the most gorgeous day ever, and there's still remnants of German bunkers and things like that. And there were C-47s flying overhead, simulating, you know, drops, and it was just unreal. So for like a war history nerd, it was kind of the dream. It was pretty cool. You guys are still talking about the moustache. You guys crack me up. Shout out to that random dude photo bombing. Yeah, the artillery batteries are in many places, and bunkers and things like that are still intact. So this is a fairly famous one that the guns are still pointed in the direction they were firing at in 1944. They were knocked out. 2 of them were knocked out, I think, by one or two by direct hits with artillery, and the rest were overrun by a British Army regiment. But yeah, actually going to see that and actually touch this history. The gun's still pointing in the direction they were firing at on June 6, 1944. Mind-blowing. My one of the reasons why I went... Oh, I also got... this is like really like holiday snap stuff. I'm sorry. I had to include this because this kind of looks like the cover of a calendar, you know, like Best of France, you know, 2024. But I actually took this photo. This is a real thing. This was a guy just fixing his car. Such a beautiful, beautiful place. One of the reasons I went actually is not just because obviously D-Day is super interesting, but because my granddad was in the 49th Infantry Division in World War II, in the British Army. And although they didn't land on D-Day, the Leicestershire Regiment, the 1st Battalion, they went into Normandy about a month later, and they had a really, really tough time of it. I think my granddad was in D Company, but C Company, they had, I think it was 4 or 5 or 6 original C Company men by the 6 or 7 months later when they got pulled out. They had a really tough time. And so getting to actually go and pay some small tribute to a lot of the guys that my granddad would have known, going to some of the war cemeteries and seeing the names of men that I'd read about in, journals and things like that was pretty moving. There's a cemetery in particular where there is a few of the Leicestershire Regiment dudes buried who would have been my granddad's comrades, and I was looking at the headstones, and it was weird because, of course, having never known any of these men, having never known my grandfather either, who died well before I was born. Seeing names of guys that, like, for example, there was Corporal Starbuck, who I'd read about in the Leicestershire Regiment's journal from 1938 when he got transferred out of one regiment and put in another. They said they'd miss his big smile, and I remembered that. And Nicholson, who won the football championship for the regiment in 1940, and they're just in the ground in front of me, and on the tombstones they had little messages from their wives after the war who'd come and paid to have these inscriptions put in. And you see thousands of these. It's pretty tough. I actually cried like a baby, not gonna lie. Had a bit of a cry in one of these war cemeteries. But yeah, I wanted to show you guys this because I'm pretty proud of that connection to the war. Obviously, I had nothing to do with it, but my granddad gave a lot. And so shout out to Sergeant Major Bob Brady, because he was a tough cracker. He was a tough individual, but he did his duty. I'm proud of him. So yeah, it was really cool to get to go to do that. And then essentially what happened was I had taken my mum to France because she'd never been outside of Australia and she loves French culture. And then we went to England. And this is where the real shippy stuff starts. So I'm just going to go and find the right picture. It's in here somewhere. Bear with me, folks. I'll just show you like oh yeah. So we went to England together, and I got to see in London the Oceanics original builder's model, which is really, really cool. Thank you. Yeah, you guys. Oh, thanks so much for saying you like that story. I'm glad you like that. Yeah, I get emotional about it. Yeah, those poor guys. And Granddad was 27 when the war ended. It was Lance Corporal. And I just think, I'm 29 now. I'm 30 next year. And I'm like, man, these were tough guys. They were in their early 20s when they're going through this stuff. Mind blowing. No idea how they did it. I did see the Oceanic. Look at this. Someone says, not enough funnels. Well, why have 4 when you could have 2 massive ones? Yeah, this is a beautiful model. And so it's in the London Science Museum, which is well worth a visit, because they've got some really cool models. You can see back here, they've got old cash registers, they've got steam engines, that kind of thing. But this is the builder's model for Oceanic that Harland and Wolff made, and I think that's its original case as well, I think. But there are photographs of this from 1900, maybe 1901, whenever. I guess it would have been 1899. But there are actually photographs that Robert Welsh took of, in fact, you know what? I reckon I could find one right now. I reckon I could find the photograph of this model from 1910. And you can see just how little it's changed. Hang on, bear with me for one sec. It's in my computer here somewhere. Let's have a look. I want to show you this photo because it's so cool. Seeing history then and history now. I'm obsessed with that. Let's have a look. It's in here. Let's see. Oh yeah, here we go. All right. Almost there. Bear with me. If you need a drink or a coffee or something, quick, load up. Okay, cool. My photos are loading. I'll show you in one sec. But it's a beautiful model. I'll show you another angle. You can see just how thin and pencil-like the profile of this ship is. But you will notice, interestingly, that the builder's model actually features guns. I think these are BL 6-inch guns off the top of my head. And yeah, she was built at the time when the Royal Navy was like, you know, ocean liners will make great auxiliary raiders. Very soon they learned that was not true. In the Boer War, I mean, they did an exceptional job. World War One, bit of a tough time. I'll show you here. This is that exact model. So, okay, I was wrong. It's not the original case. But this is a Robert Welsh photograph from around about the time the Oceanic was complete. And you can just see that the guns are there back in the day. So she was actually built with the guns installed, because it was very much like, you know, the British Empire, you know, like our ocean liners even have, you know, can mount guns to take the fight to the Hun. They weren't at war with the Germans yet, but and you can see that's that exact model. It's in pretty good condition, considering it's like 120 years old. Fair play. One of the interesting things about these models is the color of the hull below the water. This is not faded. This model, the funnel color may have faded, but this I think is the original color that these were painted, and this is inaccurate. The interesting thing about these models is they were made specifically for 2 reasons. Advertising, well, 3 reasons. Kind of point of pride for the builders. It also served as an easy way of, for literal practical purposes early in construction, to say, all right, this is where this goes, you know, like for demonstrating things and talking to agents. Second of all, you could use this model to put on public display to remind the public, hey, next time you're going to Boston or next time you're going to New York, make sure you book a White Star Line ship, buy a ticket on the Oceanic. Look how excellent it is. Here's a beautiful model. But third, harnessing the power of technology. Photography. This is maybe not this one. That's a pretty captivating photo. That is a beautiful photo. You would get a postcard of this back in the early 1900s. You would get these would be in trade journals. These would, you know, if the ship wasn't finished yet, you would see these around. So these photographs did a lot to advertise the ship. But there's a problem, because in the early 1900s, the type of film that was used was called orthochromatic film. And you can actually see that this is not a black cabinet that it's in. This would have been mahogany or something, a deep polished red color, rosewood, something like that. The issue is that red in orthochromatic photography comes out looking almost black, and blue comes out looking white. And so that's partly the reason why photographs from the early 1900s, it always looks like it's overcast. It was a beautiful blue sky, sunny day. It's just that the filtering of that photography type, it comes out looking white. The issue is, of course, that ships were painted a fairly light red color below the waterline. The anti-fouling paint was laced with arsenic and poisons and things to make sure that marine growth didn't build up over time. But if you painted your model the correct color in a photo like this, which is so important for the agency or for the builders or whoever is trying to sell tickets for this ship, it's going to look like the hull is all black. And that's not necessarily a huge issue, but it would look clunky, it would look cumbersome, it wouldn't look as sleek or slim, it wouldn't look that nice. And so what they did was they decided to paint these builders models around about this time with very, very light pink undersides, because then if you saw it in person, it looked about right. You know, that's close enough. But in the photographs, it looks better. So this is a really early example of, I think, tailoring your models or tailoring your ships to technology in the same way that they painted Olympic a white or a light grey for when she was launched, because it looked better on early photography. To give you an example of what it would look like if you didn't do that for photographs, in this is an actual photo of the Oceanic when she was being finished, but can you see in this picture where the black hull ends and the red anti-foul begins? Because there's a lot of red anti-foul actually showing. I think it's right here. You can just see a very faint line. This is the red, and this is the black. Roundabout. Yeah, you can see it here curving up. There you get more of an idea. You can see the twin tone, black hull, red anti-foul. And that's just really interesting that, yeah, it wouldn't have looked as good for your model. So anyway, that was an interesting thing. So seeing that IRL was pretty cool. There you go. You guys are talking about radios in the chat? What's going on? What are you talking about? Something about, yeah, the higher and more powerful. Yeah. The funnels were astronomically tall on ships of this age. I mean, you imagine a person would stand about that tall. It's like the first British space program was actually installing oceanics funnels. Another thing I got to see when I was in London was my other secret love. Aeroplanes. The Supermarine S6B was a racer designed by Reginald J. Mitchell, designed to win the Schneider Trophy in the 30s. And first of all, very beautiful plane. It looks like something from, what was that show? Was it Porco Rosso? Was it all about those like 1930s aircraft? Also, it's on floats. So technically, is this a boat? We can talk about it. But this was, in some ways, people consider it the precursor to the Supermarine Spitfire, because Reginald Mitchell, who designed it, went on to design the Spitfire. Really funny character. I don't know if you guys are interested in airplanes at all, but Reginald Mitchell, bit of a legend. And like, for example, he had designed the Spitfire prototype. It was nameless at that time. And he found out the Air Ministry had started calling it Spitfire. And he said, quote, to the effect of, "That's exactly the kind of bloody silly name they would give it." But what I do like about this display is they've got the Supermarine racer here, and behind it they've got an early model Spitfire, I think a Mark 1 or a Mark 2, which is very cool, seeing those two things together. You can see how one led to the other. We love design. We love design on this channel. And look at all those beautiful rivets. Look at that. All riveted. All a lot of countersunk riveting, a lot of flush riveting, because they were trying to squeeze every inch of speed out of these things. What I always found really funny about the Schneider Trophy, it was like one of the most prestigious speed air race cups in the world, and yet they did it off of lakes and water bodies, and so they were trying to eke as much speed out of these things as they could with these giant floats hanging underneath, creating all that drag. Obviously a big challenge for designers. Anyway, sorry, I'm not going to talk about aeroplanes for too long, because this is not airliner designs. Anyway, what happened after London is that we all went to Bristol. I don't know if you guys have been to Bristol before, but it's a very, very cool English city. And we met up with our good buddy, Dr. Stephen Payne, who probably, I don't know if he's still watching the stream, but if you are, surprise, there's a photo of you in the stream. So this is Sarah on the left, and Liam and Stephen and I, arranged in, actually we could have done that in height order, with the Great Britain posed beautifully behind us. So this was a really nice day, and yeah, the Great Britain was a lot of fun to go and visit. We made friends with Ryan, who portrays Isambard Brunel around the Great Britain. He was a very nice chap, and we had a lot of fun. And it was really interesting because this is considered widely to be the first ocean liner. And going there with Stephen, who is the designer of the last ocean liner to date, was a treat, because it's just really interesting getting his take on the technology employed. And it was really cool just talking with Stephen, walking around. You know, the Great Britain has a propeller. It's super interesting seeing that. It would have been great to film for the channel, but I didn't. I didn't film any of it. I have a real issue when I go to things like this, because I know it would make for good content for the channel, but I just kind of want to enjoy it. I want to walk around it and see it, and yeah, so very rarely do I get to film on things like this. But we had a random jump scare from the Balmoral, which was being fixed up in the dry dock nearby. And I hope she's being fixed up. Maybe she's just in storage. Definitely seen better days. Yeah, Balmoral's a pleasure motor vessel that is based in Bristol, and yeah, she needs a little bit of TLC, poor thing. But it was fun to see her because I got commissioned to draw this ship 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, and it's fun seeing a ship that I've illustrated because when you draw a ship like that or you 3D model a ship, you get to know them really, really well. And seeing one like that was kind of cool because I was like, oh, hey, I know that. Someone has said, people shocked at how tall I am? Yeah. Yeah, surprise. I'm a tall boy. Yes, I am 6'4", 196 centimeters. There you go. People always comment on that. It cracks me up every time. So we this is like my favorite photo. We had a really great time, and this is me. This is like the ship Avengers. This is kind of like the three of us looking like we are Captain America, Tony Stark, and one of the other. I'll be honest, I haven't seen the Avenger movies, but I get the memes. Anyway, we had a great time. The helms. You'll notice, actually, so one of the fun things about ships like this is that it looks like the wheels are pointing, the ship's wheels, the helm, the wheels are pointing the wrong way because obviously you can't stand behind this wheel because there is a little skylight deck house thing behind it. It's a deck house for the actual, like, the wheels machinery itself, actually, but so you would think that in order to steer the ship, to actually control it, you'll need to stand in front of it and look backwards. And so when a lot of people take photographs on ships like this, that's what they do. They stand facing the wrong way. But they were positioned that way for exactly this setup, to have a person on either side in the event of bad weather, because, you know, these were the days of, like manual steering. You had to, put a lot of force into turning a wheel like that. So in rough weather, you would have two people either side of the wheel facing forward, and way too many people take photographs facing the wrong way, which is really funny. So if you can take anything useful out of this stream, it's if you pose on a museum ship and the wheel is set up like that, face forwards. Just cracks me up. Yeah, a lot of people are commenting. So many people take pictures face the wrong way. It's very true. So after that, we went on. There's a ferry that operates between Southampton and New York. It's a really great ferry service. You can't take your car, unfortunately, but it's still worth hopping on. Stephen Payne designed the transatlantic ferry. She is, of course, the Queen Mary 2. Beautiful ship. A lot of fun. We had some really nice weather, and this is one of my favorite shots that I got. But we got, anyone who's done a transatlantic crossing knows that fog comes out of nowhere, and it hangs around for a bit, and then it disappears, and then the sun will come out, and then it'll be raining. Then the fog comes back. It's pretty random. Apparently, someone on this trip saw a sunfish, which is really cool. They're quite rare. One of the interesting design secrets of Queen Mary 2, which Stephen likes to talk about, and I'm stealing this directly from him, is that the funnel deck house, the casing, actually secretly contains the turbine engines, which is Queen Mary 2's reserve power source. So she's got diesels way down in her hull where you would expect engines to be. But way up here, she's also got turbines, which are essentially of the kind lifted from a commercial aircraft. Gas turbines. They're really useful for creating extra oomph. If Queen Mary 2 has to go somewhere quick, she can turn those turbines on. Obviously, it's quite expensive as far as fuel goes, but she can go pretty quick. But they're kept up here for the reason that in the absolutely unlikely event of any kind of emergency, were the engine room to flood, she would still be able to generate power from up here right to the end, because those turbines can generate a lot of oomph. One of the other interesting things about this is what looks to be railings here are not really railings. They're essentially an air brake. They act to spoil air as it rushes over the funnel deck house up here and send it skyward. So it actually acts to lift the smoke up and over the after decks of the ship. The reason being the funnel for the Queen Mary 2 had to be essentially shortened in size so the ship could fit under the Verrazano Narrows Bridge as she enters Manhattan, enters New York Harbor, which is pretty tall. But, you know, when you're on Queen Mary 2, she's like 14, 15 stories tall, you know. You're the tallest thing around. And that thing just kisses the bridge. It just goes right underneath. And it's like you could reach out and touch it. It's the most bizarre, incredible thing. So that's a cool little... Oh, Stephen says, well remembered. Yes. All right. Okay, we got it. Stephen is still watching. I have basically stolen your lecture right now, mate. I'm so sorry. He does it a lot better. I got to see Stephen speak in Red Hill. I think it was this year. Was it last year? Maybe it was earlier this year. And it was very good. If you ever get the chance to see Stephen Payne talk about Queen Mary 2 or any ship, do it, because very interesting, and you're in for a good time. That's funny. Oh, I didn't know you were still watching. That's really embarrassing. Surprise! Just stealing. Imagine if I'd got that wrong. Imagine if I'd messed that up. If I was just making that up. You can't get away with anything on the internet. You have to watch out. So yeah, we were on Queen Mary 2. Threw this one in. Thought it was a bit of fun. Bumped into Sean, who was a fan of the channel and used to help out on the Discord server that we used to run. So it was fun. I don't ever like get recognized really out in public. Like very, very rarely will someone come up and be like, "Are you Mike Brady?" But on any ship, on Queen Mary 2 especially, it's just like so many people will recognize me, which is a lot of fun because I get to feel like a small celebrity for a week. So yeah, we have a lot of fun. And yeah, on that crossing, I had a bunch of folks come up and say hi, which was very sweet. So if you ever see me on a ship, please feel free to come up and say hello. Yeah, we had a lot of fun. So then we arrived in New York, and I took this dorky selfie because I'd never been to America before. And honestly, sailing into Manhattan, that is the way to arrive in America. That was just unbelievable. It was the coolest experience. And yeah, sailing into Manhattan was very cool. This is like purely photo slide stuff at this point. Then we went to Pier 54. So this is the remnants of Cunard's Pier in Chelsea. And why am I barefoot? Oh, I was just on it was a sunny day, and I was just kind of like relaxing on a deck chair. And yeah, I got interrupted for the photo op. Anthony McTeague says, I'll probably still never get on a boat, scared face, but through your channel, I find them fascinating. I was wondering, like, why hasn't a big cruise line ever sponsored this channel? And then I realized, because we'd spent so much time talking about ships, so much time talking about ships sinking. Fair enough. I wouldn't sponsor that either. So, this is the remains of Pier 54. So this is where Carpathia arrived in New York to deposit Titanic's passengers. It's where Lusitania set out from. And now it's just a really cool area. And we went in early July. There was a huge Pride event going on up the waterfront. And the New York waterfront along this side of Manhattan is so worth a visit. It's really, really beautiful. It's really cool. This video is absolutely not sponsored by any line. So one of the real highlights of New York was catching up with a couple of friends. And actually, points to anyone who knows where this photograph was taken. See if anyone... There's 980 people watching this. See if anyone knows where this picture was taken. Here's a clue. It's in Lower Manhattan. My friend Christy here, Christy Seglinski, is a historian and a collector and a researcher, and she's written a couple books on various historical topics. She's fascinated by Titanic, World War II, the Normandy landings. She knows a lot of World War II vets. The fella to the left of her is a gent named Tom Canavan, and Tom was a worker in the South Tower of the World Trade Center in 2001, and he was a survivor of the collapse, and he's got some pretty fascinating stories, and he is in a lot of 9/11 documentaries talking about his experiences. He's a really, really lovely guy, So Bay Street Racer has pretty much got it. The bar with all the first responders that responded to 9/11. This is O'Hara's pub, and it is directly opposite the World Trade Center site. It was really badly damaged on the day. And anyway, Christy organised for Tom to come down, and we walked through the museum, the 9/11 museum, and it was an amazing experience because Tom was there and he's talking about where he was when this happened and how he did this, and his wristwatch is still covered in like blood and debris and stuff. Is on display. There's a very, very famous picture of Tom with a horrendous head wound because he came out of the rubble, essentially. He was interviewed by a camera team before he was whisked away by an FBI agent because he was in shock. And that was a really moving day. And the spookiest thing happened that we sat down at a random table. And as someone pointed out, all the patches on the walls are all the first responders, police, ambulance, everything from around the world. A lot of American, obviously, but a lot of other nations. And we sat down at a random table, and directly above the table was an Ambulance Victoria patch, which is my home state. And I've got friends who are paramedics, and they wear that exact patch. It was just really funny sitting down and seeing it. So, didn't take any photos from actually inside because, for obvious reasons. But it was a pretty cool day. And I'm sincerely grateful to Tom and Christy for organising it. And if you get the chance to go to New York and go to the 9/11 museum, absolutely do it. Carve out an entire day because there is a lot to see, and absolutely the most moving thing. I think there's a lot of things that will move you in there, and it depends on who, on what moves you personally. But I think in rivets and bolts and things like that. And so seeing it was like 5 stories of the tower. They've got a chunk of it, and it's about 3 feet tall because it got compressed down that much. Mind-blowing. The physics of that, incredible. So actually going to see that was very cool. Very moving. So New York was an amazing time. And then I went over to let's see if anyone knows where this is. I'm going to leave that up for a minute. Anyone in the chat? Does anyone know where this is? Catherine says, I just cry the whole time. Honestly, I did. I did get pretty teary when you go in the front door and you enter the exhibit. They don't start with, this is what Tom says, it's a bait and switch. They don't start with the twisted fire trucks and that kind of thing. They actually hit you unexpectedly with a haul of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of portraits. It's wedding photos, it's all things like that. And it is, that was pretty tough. Not gonna lie. Yes, this is the bow of the USS Indiana. But where is it? Where is it? There we go. Local ship nerd got it. Indianapolis Stadium. Battleship Indiana's forepeak. Yeah, so they've got a setup. My buddy Orion, shout out to Orion if he's watching this, invited me to visit him in Bloomington, Indiana. And we stopped by the local stadium where they've just got the forepeak from the USS Indiana. And they've got a couple of like Bofors guns and things set up. Or Oerlikons, I think they were Bofors. And it's a pretty cool setup. And it's exactly what it looks like. They took the bow of the USS Indiana and they just arc cut straight through it. And they just mounted it at the front of a stadium. Pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Not gonna lie. Yeah, Bloomington, Indiana. Had a great time. Very cool little college town. I liked it. That was a ship thing that I got to see about as far away from the ocean as you can almost feel. At least I thought, until I went. She's going to hate me for showing this photo. Oh, no, this was the nice one that we got. This is Sarah and I. This is a nice one. This is at the Molly Brown House Museum. So even in the middle of the country, there is ship stuff. The Molly Brown Museum is remarkable. I was working with thumbnails when I was selecting my photos. This is like the least remarkable photo I could have got of this whole place. But at least it shows some of the character. It is like going back in time to 1900, and Molly Brown is living here, and it is remarkable the amount of effort they've put in. They've recreated the wallpaper. They've recreated. They bought almost identical furniture to match because her husband had struck it rich in that's how she says it in A Night to Remember, isn't it? He struck it rich, yeah, because JJ had struck it rich in the mines out near Colorado. They got this gold wallpaper and lined the halls with it, and they recreated it. So yeah, very very interesting house. Of course, her real nickname at the time was Maggie Brown, not Molly, and as someone has helpfully pointed out in the comments, if you're ever in Colorado, like, just go and see it. It's so cool. There's such a beautiful team of people who are working on this. It's got a very... Yeah, someone says this looks abandoned. It's absolutely not. Sorry, this is just the worst photo I could have picked. I don't know. Yeah, my bad. Sorry about that, museum. This is absolutely selling it short because it is comfy and lush and beautiful, and so much passion has gone into recreating this. It's very, very, very cool. Yeah, had a great time there. All right. You ship nerds, where did I take this photograph? Where was this? We'll give you a couple minutes to figure this out. This is a beautiful big ship in a fairly large city in America. And I got to catch up with a longtime buddy of mine. And we got to have dinner on board this magnificent ship. Yes, this is the Moshulu in Philly. Right on the waterfront. There is also, I think it's the Olympia in front of her, the early American cruiser. But Moshulu, if you ever get the chance, got to go and do it. Beautiful, beautiful big ship. These magnificent, massive masts towering over it. You can sit down, you can have dinner on the upper decks, you can have a cocktail. Years and years and years ago, when I was quite young, I was on Omegle, because back then it was just a text thing and you could connect with a random person in the world, and I got connected with this stranger and I said, hi there, I'm interested in the Titanic. And she was like, so am I. I'm a big Titanic nerd. And we have been pen pals and buddies ever since. It's been well over, it would be like getting towards 15 years now. And we got to finally catch up in America, and it was a lot of fun. We got to have dinner on the ship, and we just talked Titanic and ships for hours. It was very cool. But yeah, my longtime pen pal turned into an IRL friend, which was really cool. For those of you asking if I went to go see the United States, I did. I got the dorky selfie to prove it. And this was before they had announced that she was going away for a while. The SS United States going to a farm upstate. We'll see what happens. I have no idea what's going on. It's just chaos at the moment on who's trying to save it, if it's being towed, when it's being towed, that kind of thing. I don't have very high hopes. I think they've the Conservancy's, or I'll just crop my forehead out there for a minute. The Conservancy has announced that I think this much of the superstructure with the radio mast is going to be preserved, and a funnel. The response to that on the internet was not positive, I'll say. Look, yeah, if you think about it really hard, this is pretty tough a tough pill to swallow. But there's just so many moving parts to something like this. Preserving a ship like the SS United States would be a really difficult process. It would take a lot of time, effort, and money. Not like those things don't exist, but I feel a little bad, I think, for the Conservancy fighting all this time to try and save it. It's really difficult to do this kind of thing. I don't know. I think it'll be... The simple truth is, a ship, like any piece of machinery, has an expiry date, and eventually they'll be scrapped or they'll rot away to nothing. And, the United States has passed her expiry date. Yeah. Weirdly, by sinking her, she will be around a lot longer. It's a very unpopular opinion. Would I prefer to see her turned into a floating museum, art gallery, residential block, moored in Manhattan? Yeah, that is what should happen. This ship should be moored at Pier 88 in Manhattan, near the Intrepid, and it should be a office block and a cool commingled workspace and a boutique hotel and a museum and cocktail bars. That would be the best thing ever. But yeah, financially, very, very difficult to organize. Yeah. Sad. I am writing a video about it to put out in the next couple of weeks. And the general gist of the video is, I think it was like, if America put 0.001% of what they put into like our overseas financial military aid into the United States, she could be fully restored. That's not the exact number, but it was like 0.01 or 0.001%. Which, when you think about that, yes, that is kind of tough. It's like the United States was built for a nation and was ready to serve it as a troop ship at any moment. And then the nation that she was ready to serve has just forgotten about her and left her by the wayside. It's tough. Yeah, it's tough. So anyway, it was cool to go and see it. Honestly, it was in better condition than I expected. The superstructure and all of this, the aluminium, you know, I mean, it doesn't corrode like steel, right? So it's in pretty good nick. The hull, pretty good nick. Yeah, she could be restored. Problem is, who's going to foot the bill? I don't know if any of you guys want to go halves. I got $50. Sorry that I am missing a lot of these comments. These are all very cool. I appreciate you guys. So, yeah, I did get to go and see the United States, but then I went over to see another ship, which you guys might have heard of. This is my buddy Garrett Watts. Garrett is a YouTuber who makes really entertaining content. If you haven't seen Garrett's videos, occasionally he does something shippy or historical. He did one on a haunted hotel, which was really interesting, Edwardian Hotel. But lovely guy. Didn't expect him to be my height. We're both 6'4". And we spent like a day or two kind of knocking around the Queen Mary 2. Sorry, the Queen Mary 1. This is not the Queen Mary 2. I will say, having spent time on the Queen Mary 2, this is the view. I was like so excited driving up to it and seeing this. Will say, having spent time on the Queen Mary 2, I got to the Queen Mary and I looked up at the hull and I was like, is that it? Which is shocking. But yeah, I get, you know, she's 90 odd years old, and she's very much when I got the real impression when I was there of the fact that she's really a greyhound. She's long, thin, comparatively thin, and you realize just how tall and wide modern ships are in comparison. She's very much in the tradition of older liners like Lusitania, Campania, you know, where they were all hull with this tiny little bit of superstructure on top. The Queen Mary 2, but as far as I know, her hull reaches about as high as Queen Mary 1's boat deck. And then you've got, I don't know how many stories of superstructure on top. So Queen Mary 2 would be that tall up here. It's pretty amazing. But what I loved about this was counting all the rivets. Guys, don't worry. I counted them all. They're all there. Everything's accounted for. I counted all of the rivets. It was fantastic. And you, if you get one of these rooms up here, you can stay on the ship because it's a hotel. You can look out the window, the porthole here, and look right down the hull, and you see all the rivets. They all stick out. It's very, very cool. They've done a lot of work to the Queen Mary to bring her up to scratch, and I have to say, she's in pretty good condition. She is beautiful inside. And the day that I boarded, I got this photo. I'm such a dork. This is such a basic photo. Anyway, yeah, when I got on board, I could hear jazz music kind of like haunting through the hallways, and I followed it up a staircase, and there was a jazz band playing in the observation bar. It was like going back in time. And what was super weird was it felt like a sail away party, like the ship was about to go away, but of course it didn't move. It never went anywhere. I got this fun little selfie at the golden hour. This was a really cool day. Ken Marshall, the maritime artist, the researcher, the visual historian, came down with his partner, and we had just a fun day just walking around the Queen Mary. And we did get a photo together. but I promise not to post it anywhere. It's just for me. That's just for the memory book. And I'm going to get it printed and put it on my desk here because we just had the best time ever. And yeah, Ken's knowledge is just, yeah, amazing. He really is just a really lovely guy and a really knowledgeable individual. We had a really great time. And yeah, it was cool seeing his personal connection to the Queen Mary, because I think he saw her when she came into Long Beach. Was it 67? And yeah, he's got a personal connection to the ship. So yeah, we had a lot of fun. A fun little Ken anecdote. We did get a photograph together, and it still drives him up the wall that these funnels are the wrong color. These should be Cunard red, which is more of an orange. And he hates the fact they're not riveted as well. Anyway, I sent him the picture that we got together, and he sent me a version back where he'd corrected the color of the funnels to match Cunard red, which is so perfect. And that's the version I'm going to get printed out, of course. It was such a cool little thing. So yeah, that was a beautiful time. Love the Queen Mary. It was great hanging out with Garrett. Great meeting Ken, and yeah, we just had a lot of fun. So as you can see, I did a lot of ship things in 1 year. This isn't even the end of it. I just realized in my photos here, not to skip anything, but this is the ship that I was telling you about in Liverpool that you can go and chill out on. And the cocktail bar is up here. The restaurant is down here. It's really, really good. This is the one where everything wobbles because they're dealing with the camber and the shear. Unfortunately, you can't really see it from this photo, I guess, but the decks curve out at either end, and it is a lot. There's like 15 minutes left of this stream, so if you guys are feeling antsy, like you want to go to bed, don't stress. You can catch it up later on, but I'll wrap up in about 15 minutes because yeah, this has been fun going back over everything that happened this year. One of the highlights of the trip was getting to hang out with Caitlin Doty, who I mentioned. That's us. See if anyone knows where this photograph was taken. There you go. You guys are really good at guessing these. Where did we take this picture? Caitlin's a legend, and if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel already, what are you doing? What are you doing? Go subscribe. What's wrong with you? Caitlin's a researcher. She's a death industry reform advocate. She's worked as a mortician for a lot of her career. She's written multiple books. She's writing one at the moment about Titanic, specifically about the body retrieval of the Mackay Bennett, the other ships involved. You guys are right. This is Asbury Park, New Jersey. Yes, I feel like you guys might know why I was there, why we were there. And anyway, Caitlin is researching and doing a lot of work on this book, and I wish her the very best because I know that when this book is finished, I think it will be the hot Titanic book buy of the next few years because it's a take on the Titanic story that I've never seen done in this way. We're talking about after the sinking, what happened to the people that they recovered, what it meant. It's just absolutely fascinating. So yeah, Godspeed to Caitlin. Fun little fact about this image. This location. Here's another shot. Oh look, a seagull. Anyway, this is the end of that sort of pier that we were just looking at. This is the Asbury Park Convention Hall, and we were here to film a interview for the Morro Castle documentary, which is coming up. So part 3 is coming up soon, and Caitlin's in that one. And Caitlin was staying in a hotel just near here, and I was in Ocean Grove, just down the road. And so I went up to visit. We were having a coffee, and the people in the lobby of the hotel that she was staying at, which is the Ocean Club Hotel in Asbury Park, shout out, they were like super excited that some Australian guy had spawned in to make a documentary about the Morro Castle. And they were like, "Have you spoken to Deb yet?" And I was like, "Deb?" They meant Deb Whitcraft, who is the like premier Morro Castle historian alongside Gretchen Coyle. They've written a brilliant book about the ship. Deb has been collecting Morro Castle paraphernalia for her whole life. She set up a museum herself. Just absolute fascinating individual, absolute legend. But I had no idea at the time, and so I called her museum. It was like an hour down the road, And I called up and I said, "Hi, can I speak to Deb?" She was like, "Yep, speaking." And I was like, "Hey, I'm in Asbury Park for another day filming this documentary. Would you be interested in meeting up?" And she was like, "Yep, come to the museum." So I went down to the museum, and it is like fascinating. They've got so much stuff. It's in Beach Haven, I think, in New Jersey, and you have to go. You just have to go. I mean, they've got a whole room of Morro Castle things to begin with. They've got a ton of artifacts pulled up from the Andrea Doria. They've got, look at this, champagne bottle from 1956. Super, super, super cool. Great bit of history. And Deb is a legend. She helped me out a lot, gave me access to a lot of original material for the Morro Castle documentary series. And it was just so funny that I had no idea until the staff of the Ocean Club Hotel were like, "Hey, you might want to go and check Deb's museum out." The problem is, it was an hour away, and there was not like a huge amount of public transport. And so I was staying at the Majestic Hotel in Ocean Grove, and one of the staff there was like, "Don't worry, just take my car." And so shout out to the Majestic Hotel in Ocean Grove, New Jersey, because without that, would not have been able to go and meet up with Deb, get all the photos I needed. It was a really fun day. Anyway, we filmed our documentary. I wanted to show you guys this little bit of New Jersey history. This is a shot of, I believe it's called Nagel's. It was a drugstore, and that is, I think, the Hindenburg flying overhead on her way out of Lakehurst, New Jersey. And that's it today. It still exists. Unfortunately, it is shut. They used to serve ice creams and stuff. But yeah, Nagel's is still there. And you can just go and stand in that exact spot where that photograph was taken. So New Jersey, very cool state. Lots of history. Really liked it. Yeah, I guess it would be funny hearing me talk about this stuff because, yeah, all my life, never been to America, got to spend a good bit of time, had a great amount of fun over there. One of the other things that I got to go and see was the Titanic exhibition in Columbus, Ohio, and these are a couple of short highlights. First of all, lifeboat davit from Titanic, shockingly tall. Again, I'm 6'5", 6'4", 196 odd centimeters, and that is a tall davit right there. That's a tall davit. These things are huge. I guess you see them in models, you see them in photos. It doesn't really give you the size, the scale, but they are pretty tall. This waistcoat, it's incredibly well preserved and detailed. Some of the fabric is frayed here after its time, but this was on the bottom of the ocean for like 100 years, and it is in remarkable condition. This is actually part of a full suit that has survived. Jacket, trousers, the whole thing. That was an amazing thing to see. So yeah, I had a lot of fun seeing that. Now I need to wrap up with the things that have happened just in the last couple months that are relevant. So the first was I went to then the Netherlands with Stephen. I was invited to go and talk on board the SS Rotterdam as part of the first inaugural ocean liner conference, and a bunch of maritime figures and professionals showed up. You can see here, there's Stephen in the front. Mike Drayton, who is the operations manager for a cruise line. Captain Hashmi from Queen Mary 2. And then all the way in the back, some Australian guy. I don't know. But a lot of very interesting people, folks with their fathers were engineers aboard the New Amsterdam, the Rotterdam, just really interesting people. They gave talks on board the ship, and it was really cool. The Rotterdam is a beautiful, beautiful museum ship in spectacular condition. Again, another one of these like real labors of love where they put a lot of time into restoring the ship, turning her into a hotel. I took this at night, actually, or the morning I left, and it was just so beautiful seeing all the lights, everything lit up. We got to visit the bridge, which was really cool, and you can get a sense of just how complete this ship is. It really looks like she could go to sea tomorrow. She was built in 1957, and yeah, she's a pretty remarkable ship. But we all had a great time, and yeah, I'd like to thank Steve and everyone for organising this. And if you get the chance to go to Rotterdam, you have to stay on the Rotterdam, and you have to tell them that Mike Brady sent you. I'm not getting paid for it or anything. You just have to go because it is so worth it. It's very cool. There's just a couple more things to get through before I wrap up. Only about 10 minutes left. I did say we were going to fix a ship, didn't I? But we might have run out of time. I might have to do one in the new year. Maybe some of you guys were waiting around for me to fix a ship. I might have run out of time. Anyway, I'll show you. I'll just get through these last things. Another highlight from the year was meeting Dr. Howard Fuller from the University of Wolverhampton, who is undertaking a mission to find the British battleship, HMS Captain. HMS Captain was sank in 1870 in a storm, and this is a painting that they've commissioned by naval maritime artist Jeff Hunt, who, if this style of painting looks familiar, you may have read the Master and Commander series, the Aubrey Maturin series, because Jeff did the cover illustrations for that series of novels for a particular release. And this horrifying painting is Jeff's rendition of the ship at the moment she was lost. So this is brand new. I think this was completed earlier this year, and it is a remarkable piece. You can actually buy them from the website for Find the Captain if you look them up on Google. Really recommend picking one of these up, because if you do, it will actually help the effort to find the ship. And our team, with Liam heading it up, is actually going to make a 3D model of the HMS Captain to help them find the vessel, because we can use it to overlay on top of 3D scans of wrecks to try and identify, pieces of the ship, to try and identify certain artifacts and things like that. This is Dr. Fuller and I going through some of the plans. These are big, beautiful plans that are held in the Greenwich Museum's archives, and these are the originals. These are scans of the originals, but this is what they look like. And obviously these are like super detailed, and from this we'll be able to find hopefully traces of the ship, because she should be in good condition. Super exciting stuff. We'll keep you updated on that. I've got a video actually, so this was all filmed, and I've got a video coming out I think later this week where I interviewed Howard and we talk about the Captain, because it is probably, honestly, one of the most interesting maritime stories of all time. You don't have to be a war nerd to find this interesting, because it's really a story of two very different guys. Cooper Phipps, the designer of Captain, he was a war hero, a bit of a celebrity, and then Reed was the chief, really like the Navy's chief designer, and all the other cast of characters involved. But at the center of it is a feud between these two men, and it's just an amazing story. So yeah, really excited to do more on this. Who just said, yeah, Edwin Williamson says Liam and Jack are going to be very busy men by the looks of it. Yes they are. We love to see Liam and Jack busy. If they're busy, it means we're cooking in the background. And then just to wrap up this part of the presentation, this was me in Liverpool looking at plans of ships. And I couldn't show this photo until just recently, because if you had zoomed in and seen this, you would have seen that said TSS twin screw steamer Carpathia. And it might have given away the fact that we were making Carpathia for Grand Voyage. So yeah, we actually went to Liverpool and photographed these original plans. And these are remarkable plans. Absolutely beautiful. And yeah, getting to actually handle these and see them when they're 110, 120 years old was pretty cool. Not going to lie. Yeah, so big thank you to the Liverpool Merseyside Museum's archives for that. Good luck with the renovations. They're closing for 3 years to get all fixed up. That's not the photo I wanted to show. Here we go. This was a beautiful plan. I think this is Ivernia? Saxonia. This is Saxonia. This is her rigging plan. And this is an original. I think it's from 1898, 1899. Hand-drawn, full color. Amazing. 10 15 feet long. Amazing work. And the fact that, again, this is all hand-drawn. The reason I took this photo was not because we're making Saxonia, but the details on the rigging. Even though she was a different builders, I think she was John Brown, Carpathia was Swan Hunter. The details are really useful. One of the things that we learned about Carpathia from this process, from photographing the plans. Oh, it is Avernia? That says Saxonia. I'm pretty sure it's Saxonia. One of the things we learned was what these things are. They're like these little doors marked DP. And Carpathia had them all the way along her stern. Yeah, that is a sail. I'll explain that in a sec. What is DP, you ask? I was really curious as to what these little doors are. DP, dung ports. They're marked as dung ports on Carpathia. Carpathia was designed with these huge double doors, just like Saxonia and Avernia, to load livestock. And she could carry big third-class dormitories, or she could carry cattle. And the issue with cattle, just as with human passengers, is that they create copious amounts of waste. And rather than have flushing toilets for the cows, because they're not house-trained, you could open these little dung ports up and sweep them through directly into the ocean. It was a different time, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, these are sails. These are staysails. They were rigged, presumably to squeeze an extra knot or two out. You can see another one up here. But yeah, these early 20th century Cunard steamers like Carpathia were originally rigged to carry staysails. And not so much, like I said, to get speed out of the ship, but actually to try and quell rolling. Because the idea was if you could catch a breeze off your beam, it might put the ship a couple of degrees over onto her side, but she's less likely to come back against the breeze. So she might be able to sit like that without rolling. Not super useful for big ships like this. And they basically got rid of sails on ships of this size pretty much around about the time Carpathia was built. She carried those sails for a little while, but by the time Titanic came along and Carpathia did the rescue, I'm pretty sure they'd been taken off. But you can actually see photographs, if you look closely, of the sails rolled up on Carpathia. Now, one of the other things I got to handle over there, and I guess we'll finish on this. This is basically me just bragging, but original Olympic plans. So cool. Actual blueprints as well. So yeah, it was really cool getting to handle this. And this was a huge plan as well. But this is from when she was converted to oil burning after World War One. And a lot of the things they had to figure out was, Olympic was built as a coal burning ship, of course. And so the question was, how do we turn this into a ship that can bunker oil and burn oil instead of coal? And it was a huge conversion. And a big part of that was then fitting ventilation, because your oil tanks, your fuel tanks need to breathe so they don't have vapor buildup. You need to be able to heat the oil so that it can burn efficiently. So they had to install fuel heaters. They had to install all these little pipes and ventilation ducts and things like that Olympic was never built with. And this is really obscure technical stuff. So it was really cool seeing it in person. And I actually photographed this specifically for the Titanic Honor and Glory team so that they could use it on THG. Even though, obviously, Titanic wasn't an oil-burning ship, it gives you an interesting view of the layout of Olympics. Machinery rooms, pump rooms, things like that might be able to help the Titanic Honor and Glory guys. So Godspeed THG. I hope this helps, even just a little bit. But getting to handle plans that are, like 100 years old, pretty cool, I have to say. Pretty cool. Now, it's been 2 hours. Honestly, I've run out of time to fix a ship. Before you all kill me, let me just say, I will do another one of these streams very early next year, which sounds like a long way away, but it's like next week. I'll do another stream and we'll just like chill out and we'll fix a ship. We'll fix like a couple of ships together. How does that sound? We'll specifically do... You can't You can't leave. I have to read futility. We'll do a stream where we specifically fix a ship. What do you think? I've got 1 minute. I've got 1 minute. All right. Okay. Tell you what. We'll fix a ship in 1 minute. Okay? Because there are people watching this in Europe who are trying to go to bed. They're trying to go to bed. They don't want to miss any of the stream. But I don't want to keep them up all night. Okay, come on. We'll fix a ship. What's a ship? What's a cruise ship? Celebrity Edge. There we go. All right. Okay, we're gonna fix Celebrity Edge in 1 minute. Here we go. Okay, let's do it. All right. Sorry, I'm just in the background doing things real quick. I'm just firing up Photoshop. Okay, here we go. All right. 1 minute-ish. Okay. Here we go. Step one. It's too tall. It's too tall. So we're gonna take this. We're gonna like move it down there. Oh, that was too much. Sorry, my bad. Okay. Okay. Now, bear with me. Trust in the process, guys. Trust in the process. Okay. I got it. Here we go. All right. Trust in the process. I'm seeing a lot of not trusting in the process in the comments. Okay, let's try and line this up. Oh yeah, this is the stuff. Okay, yeah, we'll put it about. You'll trust in the process, guys. I'm telling you. Okay, here we go. Did that not delete anything? Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Done. Fixed it. This coffee is 2 hours old. Why am I still drinking it? We fixed it. Damn, we're good. Look at that. The Celebrity Edge. Whoa, that's too tall. Edge Itania. That should be like, we'll just put it random. I've got like, I did this in 1 minute, guys. I did my best. The comments. Am I gonna get sued by Celebrity Cruises? I hope not. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. Yes. Well, fix the bow. Oh gosh, I don't think I got time for that. This was meant to be 1 minute. Oh, didn't want to do that. Gee, can I even fix the bow? Actually, I've got an idea. Hang on. What we'll do, we'll take this. This is some really low grade Photoshop work here, guys. And then what I'm going to do is this, so that we can then, we'll give her a nice little bow flare there. Oh, again, I did it the wrong way around. My bad. Honestly, probably the worst thing I've ever done. Oh wow, yeah, that is something. We'll give these funnels a little bump up. We'll give them a nice little splash of color. There we go. That's Cunard red. We don't want Ken Marshall coming after us. Oh, I should probably delete this as well, huh? Hang on. I'll get the little X off the back there. Fun fact about Celebrity Cruises is that they were a subsidiary of Chandris Lines, whose symbol was the X in Greek. I forget what you call it, but it sounds like it's like a ch, like a ch sound. The X was for good luck, and the Chandris brothers, when they started the line, they made that their logo. So the funnels had the X on them. And Celebrity Cruises was one of their subsidiaries. Now Celebrity exists and Chandris Lines doesn't, but they've kept the X, and that's why the funnels are X-shaped like that. Fun fact. Anyway, guys, there you go. That's the Celebrity Edutania. I should probably go. It has been a pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to get to see you all again. It has been a hot minute. I'm glad we got to do a stream. I'm going to try and do more of these in 2025 because it's just fun hanging out with you guys and getting to talk about ships and things. And thank you for looking at my slideshow for my holiday slideshow, like a dog. This is in the spirit of the original ship fix. Yes, this is. Honestly, the more I look at it, the more I don't hate it. I mean, if we I don't know. We'll leave it. Well, it was a meme. It was a meme ship, but honestly, I'm not hating it. We'll fix that up. We'll make it pretty. There you go. 6 years of university doing industrial design to learn how to do that. There you go. All right, guys, have a wonderful New Year. Happy New Year to all of you. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and all of the above. And have a great New Year's Eve. And I'll see you in 2025. It's been a huge year. Thank you so much for all of your support, all your wonderful comments, for coming in and tuning in to me doing ridiculous things like that. And just for supporting the channel, because it has been a massive year. We're going to hit 1 million subscribers next year. And I kind of can't believe it. So it's all because of you guys. So thank you so much. Stephen, you're still here. 2 hours of live stream. You sat through it all. Mate, you're amazing. Thank you for joining, guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful time. Enjoy your holidays. Spend time with your loved ones. And stay safe and stay happy. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.